Hi everyone, welcome to the second webinar of a series of webinars conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming operational case study examinations happening in August 2023. My name is Nick and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for OCS at TCS. So as I told you earlier, this is out of the three webinars which we are conducting, this is the most important and let's look at what I'm planning to cover tonight. So first things first, I'll be taking you through answering technique because when preparing for your examination, it's of utmost importance that you understand how to develop answers because if you are clueless about any type of an answering technique, you'd definitely come up with low quality answers. And if you come up with answers which are not up to standard as per the requirements highlighted by the CIMA examiner, then definitely chances of you passing the exam is extremely low. So that's that. Then so that's the first part of what we are going to discuss tonight. Give me a second, please. Yeah, someone's mic is on. Let me mute it from my end. Okay, so that's the first part of tonight's webinar, and in the second part, I'll be talking about time management technique because again, uh, just like you need to have an understanding about what you need to do when it comes to developing answer plans or structuring your answers, you need to also be considerate about time management. Guys, give me a second, please. Folks, I hope I actually urge you guys to keep your mics on mute so that there won't be any disturbances. And, you know, I'll be opening up the floor for Q&As a couple of times. So if you have any questions, then you can switch on. So someone who's using a Galaxy A2 phone, I hope you can keep your mic off. All right. So as the second part of tonight's webinar, I'll be taking you through time management technique, an important area. And I will, after teaching you how to develop answer plans and what you need to do when it comes to managing your time, I will be talking about how to practically implement these techniques. Oh my God. Folks, I hope you guys can keep your mics off because it's disturbing the others. All right, so I will be talking about answering and time management techniques in a practical sense based on the mini mock, because I'll be taking you through certain requirements of the mini mock, and I'll highlight what you need to do when it comes to developing answers and how you are supposed to manage your time appropriately. So all these things I'll be discussing in depth. So let me remind you about the schedule for webinars. So we are in the second webinar. So if you missed out on the first webinar, it's of importance that you go through the recorded version at least, because I provided 8-week study plan. And on top of that, I also highlighted the technical nitty-gritties, which are applicable to the OCS exam. So for most of you guys, this is the first time, probably this is the first time you are attempting a CIMA OCS examination. So in such an environment, it's of importance that you know the technicalities behind it. So if you could not attend the first webinar, I urge you guys to visit our website, check out the free content. Under the free content, you would see the recorded version. So please check it out. And the third webinar is on the 8th of July, which is in 2 weeks' time. And in this webinar, I will be talking about what you need to do when it comes to developing confidence, because as per the CIMA examiner, confident students end up passing the exam comfortably. So I'll give you some tips about what you need to do when it comes to developing confidence. And on top of that, I will also be taking you through the comments made by the CIMA examiner, because it's important to understand what is required from you, or what the CIMA examiner expects out of you. So I'll be taking you through all this information, and I will also talk about common reasons for failure, and I'll also give hints pertinent to what you need to do to pass your examination. I will be talking about common reasons for failure, as I told you earlier, and for each of these failures mentioned, I will be providing solutions. So that's happening in another 2 weeks' time uh, as part of our third and final webinar. All right, so let's get serious, guys. So I'm going to take you through answering techniques. So when developing answers, first things first, you need to be considerate about the use of headings and subheadings, because you will be um, if thrown a question, which is as if you are receiving an email from your finance manager, because as you should already know, I covered this in the first webinar as well. You are playing the role of a finance officer, and you are at the lowest level of the organization. You are at the operational level, and you are directly reporting to the finance manager of the company. So all your questions will be in a format where your finance manager is sending you an email, or some other type of a manager, or somebody who holds a directorial position or a senior management position will send an email to you. And when developing your answers, it is as if you are developing a response to the email which you received. So when developing this response, or where in other terms, when developing your answer, you need to utilize appropriate headings and subheadings. So for each and every subtask, so under each main task, you would see 2 or 3 subtasks. So let's assume that there are 2 subtasks in your paper in a certain task. Let's assume it's task number 1. Within task number 1, there are 2 subtasks. So if that is the case, for each subtask, you need to come up with a main heading, which is in bold and underlined format. Remember, for each subtask, you need to come up with a main heading. And when thinking about the formatting of the main heading, it needs to be in bold and underlined format. And if you feel like you need to further subdivide your answer or fraction out your answer, then you are invited to use subheadings, and the subheadings needs to be in bold format. So for each subtask, you need to come up with a main heading, which is in bold and underlined format. And if you feel that you need to further fraction out your answer, then you need to come up with a subheading, which is in bold format. And when providing answers, you are supposed to provide answers in paragraphs. You are not supposed to provide single-line sentences as answers. You are not supposed to come up with answers which consists of bullet points. Instead, for each answer point, you need to come up with a paragraph, and each paragraph needs to consist or comprise of 2 to 4 sentences. Okay, so I will be talking about an answer planning technique. So let's assume for a certain subtask, there are 7 answer points which you are planning to highlight. So if there are 7 answer points, for each answer point, you need to have a paragraph. So if there are 7 answer points, you need to have 7 paragraphs within your answer. This is of utmost importance, because I've seen most students writing the entire answer within one single paragraph. Then what happens is, when it comes to marking, the marker has to go through a cumbersome process and try to figure out whether you have come up with appropriate answer points or not. So it's better to be in the good books of the marker rather than frustrating the invigilator or frustrating the marker. So stick to the guidelines provided by the CIMA examiner. You need to come up with several paragraphs based on the number of answer points which appears within your answer plan. So if you are trying to highlight 7 valid points, you need to have 7 paragraphs within your answer. Do not write everything together, because then your answer will be cluttered, and the marker will have to spend additional time to go through your paper. Because although you need to know about this, although you are taking 3 hours of your time to develop answers for the entire paper, the marker is just taking somewhere around 10 to 13 minutes to mark your paper, mark the entire paper. So, and the marker marks a lot of papers on a given one given day. So in such an environment, it's better to be in the good books of the invigilator. It's how can you be in the good books of the invigilator? By adhering to the guidelines provided by the CIMA examiner. So when developing answers, you need to come up with paragraphs. Then you need to be conversant about time management technique as well. So when managing your time, this is of utmost importance because most students, especially at the OCS level, they run out of time. As I told you earlier, out of the 3 case studies, the most difficult case study is the OCS, operational case study, because you need to be aware about technical areas, especially theoretical elements, which falls under the P1 and F1 syllabuses. So in such an environment, when it comes to developing answers, you need to spend a considerable amount of time to think and remind yourself or to bring in information from the OTQ syllabuses. Okay, so you need to remember certain points. And on top of that, you need to apply the knowledge when developing your answer. So this takes a bit of time. So right after reading the question, do not start typing the answer. Instead, you have to stick to this time management plan. So what is the time management plan? You need to allocate one-third of the time for reading and answer planning, and 2/3 of the time should be allocated towards typing. So out of 45 minutes, 1/3 of the time is 15 minutes. So you need to allocate something like 5 minutes to read the question and understand the requirements clearly, because if you do not understand the requirements, you'd end up giving a wrong answer. I've seen time and time again these type of mistakes occurring when I go through the answer scripts of students. So try to avoid these things. Best thing is to stick to this time management technique. So allocate 5 minutes to read the question, then allocate a further 15 minutes to develop something called an answer plan. I'll highlight how to do it in another 5 to 10 minutes time. So allocate 5 minutes to read the question, 15 minutes to develop an answer plan, and the remaining time can be utilized. 25 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes of your time can be allocated towards typing the answer. So once you have come up with an answer structure or an answer plan, then you know what you're supposed to type, because you can't multitask, especially given the fact that you would be experiencing exam stress. So when you are under stress, you cannot think and type at the same time. Instead, you need to allocate 15 minutes to think, come up with an answer structure, come up with an answer plan. And once you have an answer plan, you know what to write. Then it's just a matter of expanding, taking 20 to 25 minutes and expanding the answer plan. Okay, so you need to stick to these things. I'll highlight how to do these things in a practical sense in a while. And the expected typing speed is a minimum of 20 words per minute. So if your typing speed is not up to standard, it's of importance that you improve your typing speed. There are so many software out there. And applications or apps out there. So you can utilize these things to improve your typing speed in the coming 7 weeks. All right, then again, when it comes to developing the answers, you need to develop answers based on the mark allocations. So when you go through a paper, you would see for each and every subtask or under each and every subtask, there's a weightage provided. That weightage gives you an indication about how many marks are allocated for each subtask. So when developing your answer plan, you need to be considerate about the amount of marks allocated. So for instance, for a certain subtask, 11 marks are allocated, then based on that, for a fact, within your answer plan, you need to have something like 5 to 6 answer points, 5 to 6 valid answer points. Let's assume there's a subtask where 30 marks are allocated. So in such an environment, you need to have something like 12 to 15 valid answer points. So as I told you earlier, the number of answer points which you need to highlight under each subtask depends on the weightage provided or the marks allocated. Okay. And do not spend time on formatting such as paragraph alignment, because you don't get marks for that. Instead, the only type of formatting which you need to focus on is getting your headings and subheadings right. As I told you earlier, headings should be in bold and underlined format, subheadings in bold format only. And when developing your answers, you need to come up with a paragraph per answer point, and each paragraph should consist of 2 to 4 line sentences. And always remember, it's always about the quality of the points which you're highlighting. So that's exactly why I'm saying you need to spend some time to plan or think before you start typing your fully fledged answer. Because why am I asking you to do this? Because once you have an appropriate structure, you know for a fact the quality of your answer is extremely high. Because what I've seen is most students out there who end up failing the exam, what they do is they read the question, they are in a rush to start typing the fully fledged answer, and halfway through the answer they realize that the requirement is, requirement highlights something else, but the answer is headed in the wrong direction. So in such an environment, these type of students, they end up deleting the entire answer. And in the back of their mind, they know for a fact that they had wasted time. So this leads to intense levels of stress and panic. And once you panic, you cannot pass this exam. You need to keep your cool. You need to be calm and collected. So how can you achieve this? By sticking to these answer planning and time management techniques, which I'll be highlighting in depth in a while. All right. So when it comes to developing answers, you are supposed to read the scenario first. I said you are supposed to allocate 5 minutes of your time and read the scenario and understand the exact requirements. And then after reading the scenario, you have to plot the requirements into headings and subheadings. So I said per subtask, you need to have a heading. So let's assume in task number 1, there are 3 subtasks. So in such an environment, you need to have 3 main headings within your answer. Okay, so first things first, you need to come up with the headings and the subheadings. Then invest time to understand the requirement clearly, because if you do not understand or misunderstand the requirement, you end up giving the wrong answer. Then after understanding the requirement, you are supposed to plan the answer. So as I told you earlier, a maximum of 1/3 of your time or 15 minutes of your time per task should be allocated towards planning your answer or coming up with something called an answer plan. And when developing this answer plan, do it on the answer screen itself. You know for a fact that you will have access to a scratch pad. Don't use it because it does not give you any benefit. Because if you come up with the answer plan within the scratch pad, what happens is you'd have to keep on shifting between two answer screens. That's going to be cumbersome. And on top of that, when you're shifting between 2 answer screens, let's assume you had come up with 8 answer points within a certain subtask. But when copying it, or when it comes to expanding your answer plan within the scratch pad, if there are 8 points, when it comes to typing your fully fledged answer, you might miss out on a certain point. So you will not face a situation like that if you develop the answer plan on the answer screen itself. So keep the scratch pad as it is. Do not utilize it. Do not come up with your answer plan within the scratch pad, because you might miss out on certain points given the stress which you'd face at the exam. So it's better to develop the answer plan on the answer screen itself. And once you have an answer plan, once you have structured your answer, then you know what to type. Then it's just a matter of utilizing the remaining time, 20 to 25 minutes of your time, and expanding the answer plan. Okay, so this is the best way to come up with high quality answers. So let's look at how we are supposed to implement these things in a practical sense. So before we move on to this area, any questions, folks? If you have any questions, you can switch on your mic and talk, or simply drop me a message on the chat. so that I'm in a position to address your concerns. Any questions, guys, before we move forward?
Yes. So for me, I was just listening to you speak about time management in the exam. But I noticed when I wrote the last exam, it was a bit difficult to do the answer plan and then start putting in some flesh on the points. So what I figured to be working for me in the last exam was when I condense, when I have some ideas on the answer, I'll just start writing, going through the whole answer, the whole answering of that question. I didn't find time to actually jot down or time to think about the answer, then start writing it down. As soon as I read the question, I was running straight into the writing of what I thought was the answer, because I think time management is very critical in this exam. That's one thing that shocked me in the previous exam.
Yeah, Blessed. So, that's I hate to break this news. It's not the best technique which we are utilizing, because you as you said, you might have found out that it's hard to stick to the answer planning technique, where you spend 15 minutes of your time to come up with an answer structure, then start fleshing out. You might find it hard because you need to practice this technique. Just because you know it, you can't straight away go to the exam, walk into the exam, and try to get the answer planning technique right. So we have developed 5 mock exams. You need to keep practicing the same methodology over and over again when attempting the 5 mock exams. So if you look at the total number of subtasks within these 5 mock exams, there are 20 subtasks in total. So if you attempt all 5 mock exams under exam conditions, then you'll be practicing this answer planning technique 20 times over. Then you won't ever run out of time, because take it from me, I've seen so many students who would do the same mistake, where they'd read the question and straight away start typing the answer. That's not the best approach, because chances of you passing the exam, if you do not spend some time to plan the answer, you simply cannot pass the exam. Okay, so I hope at least this time, I hope you would have passed the exam last time. If not, if you have to repeat this time, then you'd have to stick to this answering technique in order to ensure a sure pass in the upcoming session. I hope I addressed your concern, Blessed.
Thanks. Yes, it does. Thanks a lot.
All right, you're welcome. So let's move on to the discussion of the mock. So as you can see, I'm on the CIMA exam, or the LMS, the Learning Management System. So in here, I'm under the free content, OCS free. So if you check out the mocks, there's a OCS mini mock, which comes under the free content. So based on the mini mock, I will be conducting this session, where I'll be highlighting how to develop answer plans and how to manage your time appropriately. All right, so let's look at the information provided. So as you can see, I was talking about weightages provided, and I said based on these weightages, you need to determine how many marks are allocated for each and every subtask. So that's exactly what you can see in here. So for subtask A, the weightage provided is 30%. For subtask B, the weightage is 40%, and subtask C, the weightage is 30%. So based on these things, we need to determine how many marks are allocated. So give me a second, please. Yeah, so this is the answer plan. You can find this answer plan within the OCS free content as well. So in here, I've mentioned the amount of marks allocated for each subtask. So 37.5 marks are allocated for each subtask. So based on the weightage, 37.5 into 30% is 11 marks. So for subtask A and C, the mark allocations are 11 marks each. And for subtask B, you are allocated with 15.5 marks. All right. So that's what the weightage gives you an indication about. So let's look at what the question is, and based on the question, I'll highlight what type of an answer you need to come up with. Today is the 2nd of April 2023, and Trax Europe has carried out the quarterly performance review. So the company has carried out a quarterly performance review, and you received the following email from the finance manager. So this is exactly what I told you earlier. The CIMA examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment. So it's as if you are receiving an email from one of your superiors. So in this instance, within this question, your finance manager is sending you an email. So it's from Ben Scholz, your finance manager. I hope you would have gone through your pre-seen document. If that is the case, you'd know who you are reporting to, Ben Scholz, the finance manager. So the subject goes as training and development, budgeting and relevant costing. So this gives us an indication about the type of syllabus content or areas which are tested within this paper. Okay, so we have decided to launch a special training and development session for our assembly employees to enhance the quality of operation. So, this time's pre-seen is about Trax Europe, a tractor manufacturer in Europe. Okay, so, we have launched a special training and development program focused on improving the quality of operations within our assembly department. In line with this initiative, Bill Gomez, our main assembly manager, asked me to do a presentation on the training and development program, which we need to follow for our employees involved within assembly operations. Therefore, could you please draft me a report on the steps which we need to follow on our training and development program? I believe that we will be able to continue the training and development program in the coming years if we could generate a better output this time. So the first requirement, let's try to figure out what this requirement is. You are supposed to draft a report on the steps which we need to follow in our training and development program. So although this requirement goes on for 3 lines, it's actually simple. It's just a matter of you are supposed to highlight the steps which we need to adhere to when coming up with or when developing or designing a training and development program. Okay. So that's exactly what you can see in here. So the first requirement, I've simplified it, steps in training and development. So when developing your answer plan or when structuralizing your answer, it's better if you can, simplify the requirement and write it in your own words. So rather than having to, refer back to the question and read through it over and over again, if you can simplify it, you'd, save a lot of time. So steps in training and development. So that's the first requirement. So let's look at what type of an answer you are supposed to develop. Okay. So training and development stages, that's my main heading. So as I told you earlier, for each subtask, you need to come up with a main heading, which is in bold and underlined format. That's exactly what you can see here, training and development stages. And as I told you earlier, based on the weightage provided, sorry about that, based on the weightage provided 30%, 11 marks are allocated for this subtask. So this is an E1 related question. So training and development, it consists of 5 stages. Whenever you are conducting training and development or designing or developing a training and development program, you need to adhere to 5 steps. Okay, so step number 1 is identifying training needs. So when trying to identify the training needs, we need to understand the issues which we face at present pertaining to assembly operations. So within the scenario or within the question, there is no indication about the type of issues faced by the company when it comes to carrying out assembly operations. So in such an environment, you can simply mention what happens within this step. So the first step is about identifying training needs. And when trying to identify the training needs, we need to understand the issues within the assembly department, because training sessions are conducted with the main objective of getting rid of any shortcomings within any given department within our company. So that's the first step. The second step is determining the training and development objectives. So before we start our training sessions, we have to, as the second step, we have to determine the training and development objectives. So this gives us an indication about these objectives, will give us an indication about what we are trying to achieve via the training sessions. So as per the question, we are trying to increase the amount of efficiency, or bring in efficiency improvements, or increase output pertaining to assembly operations. So that should be our objective with regards to conducting training and development sessions. So based on achieving efficiency in assembly, and on top of that, when stipulating a training and development objective, we have to ensure that it comprises of the SMART characteristics. So the objective should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Okay. So when we are typing your fully fledged answer, rather than simply saying SMART, you need to say an objective needs to have 5 characteristics, and these characteristics are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. But when developing your answer plan, keep it simple, because you only have 15 minutes to develop the answer plan, and the answer plan needs to be unique to you. So this is a summary of the entire answer which you're going to provide at your exam. So keep it simple as much as possible. All right, so that's the second step within a training and development activity. Then the third step is about carrying out planning. So we need to come up with a plan about the training methods. We should decide upon whether we go ahead with formal training or informal training. Okay, so if you are going for formal training, then we might have to utilize services of external service or training providers. If you are going for informal training, we can utilize the skills and capabilities of our senior employees. So if you are going for informal training, it's something like on-the-job training, or it could be a mentorship program. Some type of mentoring can be considered as informal training. So we have to decide upon these things beforehand. And we have to also plan about the location. So if you are going for formal training, we might have to do it in a hotel or some conference hall. But if we are going for informal training, we can go for on-the-job training within our premises itself. Then we have to also come up with a plan pertaining to the budget, which we are planning to allocate pertaining to the training and development session. Again, this depends on the type of training method which we are adhering to. If you go for formal training, we'd have to allocate a higher budget relative to informal training, where if we are going for a mentorship program or a mentoring program, then the budget allocations will be considerably less when compared with a formal training session. Then the fourth step is about delivery and implementation. So we need to consider about how we are trying to or how we are planning to conduct the delivery. Are we going to go for in-house delivery, or are we going to go for external delivery? And on top of that, whilst delivering the training session, we need to understand, or we need to stipulate whether we are achieving our training and development objectives. So whilst conducting the training session, if our assembly employees are not being attentive, then we are not in a position to achieve our training and development objective, which is to increase efficiency in assembly. So if the assembly employees who are attending the training and development session, if these guys are sleeping or having a chat between themselves without listening to the trainer, then we are not in a position to achieve efficiency in assembly. Okay, so whilst conducting the training session, we have to be considerate about whether we are achieving the training and development objectives. Then once the training and development program is done, the last step is the evaluation stage. This is where we seek feedback from trainers as well as attendees. So We need to understand whether the attendees has gained something out of the training sessions. Maybe right after the training session, we can give them an MCQ paper to understand whether the trainees had gained something out of the session. And on top of that, it's better to seek feedback from the trainers as well, because because the trainers will have a good understanding about the type of rapport the trainer and the trainees had between them. Okay, so it's better to listen to feedback or gather feedback from both the parties. So that's what the first question is about, training and development, the stages, and it consists of 5 stages. And I highlighted what you need to mention within the 5 stages. And on top of that, I've also highlighted, as you can clearly see, I've also highlighted what needs to be mentioned within the answer plan. So keep it simple, keep the answer plan simple as much as possible. Then when expanding your answer, you can, go and you can move forward and explain each and every point in depth. Okay, so that's the first subtask. So let's move on to the second subtask. Oops, I think I closed the window. Give me a second, please. All right, so second subtask. Further, during the board meeting, there was a discussion regarding different budgeting styles and the level of people involvement within the budgetary process. The finance director, Carl Lomas, asked me to provide a report evaluating the benefits and drawbacks of the imposed and participative budgeting styles. Since I'm busy with work, could you please provide me with an explanation highlighting the benefits and drawbacks of the imposed and participative budgeting styles? So let's look at the requirement. It's a simple requirement, I should say. So the second requirement is highlighting the pros and cons of imposed as well as participative budgeting. And based on the mark or the weightage provided, which is 40%, 15.5 marks are allocated for the subtask. Okay, so let's look at the type of an answer you are supposed to provide. So I said per subtask, you need to come up with a main heading. So that's exactly what you can see here. I've come up with a main heading which goes as budgeting styles, and this is in bold and underlined format. So first things first, whenever the question is, or the examiner expects you to, or the question highlights a certain theoretical elements, it's better to start by defining this theoretical concept. So this question is about budgeting styles, participative as well as imposed. So it's better to start the answer by defining what budgets are. Budgets, simply put, are quantified plans of an organization. So via these quantified plans, we are forecasting about what we are trying to achieve in the future. So that's the definition of budgeting. Then moving on to the 2 different areas which are tested, imposed as well as participative budgeting styles. So for each area, I've come up with a subheading. And as I told you earlier, the subheading needs to be in bold format. Okay, so that's exactly what you can see here. My main heading is in bold and underlined format, but my subheadings are in just bold format. So first things first, looking at the imposed style, it's better to start by defining. Again, this is a theoretical concept, so it's better to start your answer by defining what imposed style of budgeting is. So these are scenario where the guys at the head office or the finance department, whenever developing a budget, typically the finance department comes up with the budget and imposes it on other departments or low-level employees. So that's why you call it an imposed style of budgeting. So what are the benefits of this type of budgeting? It's less time consuming to prepare budgets because you need not spend a lot of time. It's just the finance guys who get together and develop a budget. And these finance guys are conversant with budgeting because that's one of their expertise. So finance employees will know how to do budgeting. And because they know what to do, because they know how to develop budgets, they can get it done in a shorter period of time. So if we go for imposed style of budgeting, it takes up extremely limited time. And it also leads to faster decision making, because decisions pertaining to revenues and expenditure are taken by finance guys who are conversant about these areas. Because if you go for a participative style, we'd have to listen to everybody within the organization, and this takes a bit of time when it comes to decision making. But on the contrary, if you go for an imposed style, the finance guys, the limited number of people will be involved with decision making, so we can arrive at decisions faster. And we will be using expertise of capable managers who would have an overall view of the business. So these guys, as I told you earlier, the finance employees who are located within the head office, whenever they are developing a budget, they'll think about the entire company rather than simply thinking about one single department. Okay. So, and on top of that, when developing these budgets, capable individuals who are conversant with finance will develop budgets. So these are the pros of imposed style of budgeting. Then moving on to the cons, we are not in a position to access local knowledge because, as per the information which is provided in your pre-sealed, we are operating within three different regions. So if we go for an imposed style of budgeting, we'll only be considering or listening to what the finance guys are saying. We won't be in a position to listen to the three regional managers. It's better to listen to the regional managers because their markets could be totally different to each other. So it's better if we can involve these guys, the regional managers, within the budget setting process rather than a third party or individuals from the finance department trying to stipulate a budget which affects all three different markets. And this demotivates lower level employees or managers because their concerns are not considered to be valid when setting the budgets. So that leads to demotivation. And because of this type of demotivation, there could be a resistance when it comes to implementing the budget. So these low level employees or regional managers might not like a scenario where somebody else imposes a budget down their throat without listening to their opinions. Okay, so when it comes to implementing these type of budgets, we can expect some type of resistance. Then, so that's the first part of the answer. I've highlighted the pros and cons of the imposed style of budgeting. Then moving on to the second type of budgeting, participative. Again, start your answer by defining what participative budgeting is. So participative budgeting is a scenario where you listen to everybody, or you get opinions of all departments or individuals or employees working within each different region before finalizing the budget. Okay, so that's what participative means. So what are the pros? We can access local knowledge because we'll be listening to all employees. So we'd listen to the three regional managers as well as representatives working within different departments. So we can access local knowledge, and this leads to a high level of motivation because when employees know for a fact that their concerns were considered or their requests were considered by the finance guys, then this leads to a high level of motivation, and employees will be committed towards achieving the budgets because they themselves were involved in the budget setting process. So once you are involved in setting the budgets, you'll definitely be motivated about, by hook or by crook, achieving the budgets because you yourself was involved with the budget setting process. Okay, and if you do not achieve the budget, so for instance, let's assume something like a revenue budget. If you were involved with setting the revenue budget, yet if your department could not meet the revenue budget, then you are personally responsible. So because of this, again, people will be motivated to achieve the budgets by hook or by crook. Then looking at the cons, it's time consuming because you'd have to listen to the opinions of several different people, and you'd have to keep negotiating with several people. This takes a bit of time, and there could be conflicts which would arise. Then you'd have to spend some time to resolve these conflicts. So all these things will take up a lot of time. And it complicates decision making because, as I told you earlier, under an imposed style of budgeting, only the finance guys are involved with budget setting. But so these finance guys are like-minded people. They come from the same type of a background. But when it comes to involving everybody within the budget setting process, definitely it will complicate decision making, because it's not just the finance guys who are involved with the budget setting process. You'd have to listen to the engineers, the marketeers, the sales guys, maybe the HR guys, IT guys. So, these guys are not coming from a finance background, so it complicates decision making. And on top of that, when so many people are involved in the budget setting process, it leads to an inefficiency which is known as budget slack. You can call it budget padding as well. So this is a scenario where individual budget holders, they will set budgets which are easily achievable. So if we invite the sales guys to set the sales budget, rather than setting a sales budget, for instance, which comes up to 100 million, they'll set a sales budget which is 80 million. So it's easier to achieve 80 million worth of sales relative to achieving 100 million worth of sales. So they'll set easily achievable budgets. And on the other hand, looking at the expenses, because we need to, when setting a budget, we have to be considerate about the revenues as well as expenditure. So when looking at the expenses, the budget holders will try to come up with expense budgets which are too big. So rather than having to spend something like 50 million, if you have a budget where you can spend 80 million, then you have a buffer. Okay, you are not thinking about saving costs or cost cutting all the time. Instead, you have a buffer, so you can manage your affairs comfortably. You'd be comfortable, but it will be detrimental to the company in the long run. So budgetary slack or budget padding can be expected when you look at participative budgeting. All right, so that's the answer for the second subtask. Then moving on to the third area. Before I move on to the third area, there's a question which had come in. I can't see your screen anymore. Probably because of some type of internet issue at your end. I hope the others can see my screen. I hope you guys can see my screen without any issues.
Yes, I can see the screen, yes.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you for the feedback. Then moving on to the third subtask. Moreover, we have received special requests from ABC and XYZ, which are well-renowned trading companies which sell reconditioned industrial machines. So two companies had approached us. Both these companies are interested in purchasing 5 of our hydraulic pressing machines. So these two companies has approached us with the intention of purchasing 5 of our hydraulic pressing machines. So if you had gone through the annotated pre-scene, you would know what I'm talking about. We use hydraulic pressing machines within our assembly operations. So, these two companies have approached us with the intention of purchasing 5 of our pressing machines. I thought to conduct a relevant cost analysis before selecting the preferred course of action. I have attached all the required information. See reference material. So let's look at the reference material. Reference material 1. This is exactly how you'd receive additional information pertaining to each and every scenario. So under each requirement, you will definitely have reference material. So always remember to check the reference material. If not, you cannot provide an answer for a question such as this. Okay, so reference material 1, information about the hydraulic pressing machine. So we have been approached by these guys to purchase 5 of our pressing machines. So the book value of the machines are at $1 million. The annual depreciation is $100,000. As these machines are nearing its useful life, the company has no intention to replace them with similar machines. So if we sell these machines to these either of these two companies, then we'll replace the machines with better ones. So that's exactly what is mentioned here. We are not intending to replace them with similar machines. Instead, when replacing, we are intending to purchase better machines, technologically advanced machines. And the present value of future cash flows associated with the machines is $1.2 million. All right. Then looking at the two quotations which we have received, quotation received from ABC, sell the machines at present condition for $900,000. So ABC had said, okay, look here, we are ready to purchase 5 of your machines at the present condition, and we'll pay you $900,000 for all 5 machines. And looking at the quotation provided by XYZ, they are asking us to sell the machines for $1.1 million after replacing the rewinding shafts. And to replace the rewinding shafts, it will cost us $150,000 for the 5 machines. So $30,000 per machine will be spent on fixing the rewinding shafts. So XYZ wants us to fix the rewinding shafts, and then if that is the case, they'll purchase the 5 machines at $1.1 million. All right, so that's the information. Based on that, let's look at the requirement. Carry out a relevant costing activity and evaluate the decision which we need to take, either to keep our hydraulic pressing machines or sell them. So you are supposed to carry out a relevant costing analysis, and based on the analysis, recommend whether to keep the hydraulic pressing machines or sell them. If we are to sell them, to whom should we sell them to? Should we sell it to ABC or XYZ? So let's look at the type of an answer you are supposed to provide. I've come up with a main heading which goes as relevant costing, and based on the weightage provided, 30%, 11 marks are allocated. Okay, so first things first, it's again, since these are theoretical area which falls under the P1 syllabus, it's better to define what relevant costing is. So relevant costing is a scenario where before taking a decision, you need to think about the type of information or type of factors which are considered as relevant to the decision. Then you need to also think about the factors which are irrelevant to the decision. So when arriving at the decision, the irrelevant factors needs to be kept aside, and only relevant factors needs to be considered. So when looking at costs, what type of costs or revenues are considered to be relevant, and what type of costs and revenues are supposed to be irrelevant? So according to relevant costing, if you look at the theoretical elements of it, future costs and revenues are considered to be relevant. So if there are any costs or revenues which we are going to experience in the future, these future costs and revenues, because we are supposed to experience it in the future, it's considered to be relevant to the decision. And incremental costs, if there are any incremental costs or revenues which arises due to us taking a certain decision, then that is considered to be relevant. However, if certain non-cash flow items are there, these should not be considered when arriving at the decision. So non-cash flow items are considered to be irrelevant. So when it comes to relevant costing, or when it comes to relevant revenues, you have to think about 3 areas. Future costs and revenues are considered as relevant. Incremental costs and revenues are considered to be relevant as well, but non-cash flow items are considered to be irrelevant. So please bear these 3 areas in your mind. Okay, so this is the theoretical aspect. Then you have to apply it to the information, or apply it to the scenario, considering the information provided as part of the question. So in the question, they have we have to go through the reference material. They have mentioned about the book value of machines, which comes up to $1 million. So what are we supposed to do about the book value? So rather than typing book value in its entirety, I've just typed B and V. Why? Because I told you to keep the answer plan as concise as much as possible to save time. Okay, so the book value is considered to be a sunk cost because we have spent this money 5 years back. Okay, so we are not spending money right now. When you consider the book value, we are not planning to spend some money in the future. So when you consider the book value, it's a sunk cost because we have already incurred this cost at purchase. So this cost of $1 million should not be considered for the decision. Okay, so the book value is considered to be irrelevant to the decision. Then looking at depreciation, so there's an indication about depreciation. Annual depreciation charges comes up to $100,000. Again, this is a non-cash flow item because depreciation, as you know, is an accounting estimate. This actually does not arise within a company. So this is an estimate. So because of that, we consider it a non-cash flow item. It does not generate in any cash flows or any cash outflows in a real sense. It's just an estimate. It just appears within our financial statements. So in such an environment, that should not be considered as well for the decision. So depreciation is a non-cash flow item, and non-cash flow items are irrelevant to the decision. Then looking at the third area, machines are nearing the useful life. And the present value of the future cash flows associated with the machines is $1.2 million. So the present value of future cash flows. So what did I tell you earlier? Future costs and revenues are considered to be relevant. So the present value gives us an indication about future cash flows. So that's considered to be relevant to the decision. So we have to think about, if we keep on utilizing these machines without selling them, how much are we going to generate? How much of a revenue are we going to generate? It will result in a cash flow of 1.2 million. So we have to consider this, and against this figure only, we have to consider the quotations provided by A, B, C, and XYZ. So if we keep on utilizing the machines, we'll experience or we'll be faced with a positive cash flow of 1.2 million in the future. Against this cash flow, we have to consider the quotations provided by the two vendors. Okay, so this is the only relevant cash flow which we need to consider when it comes to us utilizing the machines in the future without selling them. And the quoted prices, the prices quoted by the two vendors, $900,000 and $1.1 million, the quoted prices are considered to be relevant. Why? Because it results in incremental cash flows. Okay, so if we sell the machine to ABC, it results in incremental cash flows amounting to $900,000. And if we sell the machines to XYZ, it results in future cash flows amounting to incremental cash flows amounting to $1.1 million. Okay, and once we have highlighted the relevant and irrelevant costs and revenues, you are supposed to conduct the evaluation, because as per the question, what are you supposed to do? You are supposed to carry out a relevant costing activity and evaluate the decision which we need to take, either to keep our hydraulic pressing machines or sell them. Okay, so what are we supposed to do? If we keep using the machine, it results in future cash flows, which comes up to $1.2 million, as I told you earlier. And this generates additional cash when we compare these to the best quotation which we have received. So out of these two quotations, one is if we sell our machines to XYZ, we'll receive $1.1 million, but from that we have to deduct $150,000 because that's an expense for us. So although we are receiving $1.1 million, we are supposed to fix the rewinding shafts. So when it comes to fixing the rewinding shafts, we are supposed to spend $150,000. So it's actually speaking, if we sell the machines to XYZ, we'll generate revenues, future cash flows, which amounts to $950,000. And if we sell to ABC, we'll generate cash flows amounting to $900,000. So out of these two options, quotation provided by XYZ looks to be better. Okay, so that's the best quote out of the two service providers, because ABC if we sell to ABC, they'll give us $900,000. And if we sell to XYZ, we'll generate revenues amounting to $950,000. So 950,000 versus us not selling the machines, but utilizing them for a certain period of time. If we do that, we'll generate 1.2 million. So, you know, if we keep on utilizing the machines, it generates additional cash flows amounting to $250,000. How did I arrive at that figure? That's 1.2 million minus the best quotation provided, 0.95 million or $950,000. So finally, you can see that it's beneficial for us to keep utilizing the machines because it generates additional cash flows amounting to $250,000. So it's better not to sell the machines. Instead, we have to keep utilizing the machines. So this is exactly how, or these are the type of answers you are supposed to provide at your real exam as well. Since we have a bit of time, let me take you through another question, not the entire question. Instead, I just want to highlight a question pertaining to KPIs. Okay. All right, on an unrelated matter, Reena Blois, our sales and distribution director, got in touch with me, and we are discussing about the performance of our sales teams. So we are thinking about the performance of our sales teams. She stated that the sales teams are set ambitious sales targets and earn commissions on top of their salaries based on the achievement of these targets. So let's look at what these targets are. According to Reena, the sales employees are responsible towards signing up new dealers, manage relationships with dealers, dealing with online and telephone queries from dealers and farmers, arrange delivery times, and stick to these delivery times. So 5 main areas are highlighted, 5 main targets. And if you had gone through the annotated pre-scene, you would have seen these 5 points being mentioned within the pre-scene itself. Okay. So this question is extremely relevant to this time's pre-scene. I've gotten this question so many times where students ask whether our mock exams are, tuned to or aligned with the information provided in the pre-scene. I guarantee that all 5 of our mocks are extremely relevant or fully relevant to the pre-scene or the information which is highlighted within the pre-scene. So these 5 targets are mentioned in the pre-scene. So covering these areas only, I've developed this question. Okay, further, sales staff carry the responsibility of setting up staffing trade stands at agricultural stores. So 6 areas are highlighted in here. Although Reena is aware about the sales targets, she is concerned as to how she can control and measure the effectiveness of sales staff in relation to signing up and managing relationships with new and existing dealers, the effectiveness of sales staff when dealing with online and telephone queries from dealers and farmers, arranging delivery times, and setting up and staffing trade stands at agricultural shows. So out of the 6 targets mentioned within the pre-scene, the sales and distribution director is considering about 4 main areas. So let's look at the requirement. Therefore, suggest and justify 5 KPIs which can be used to measure the performance of the sales team within Trax Europe, considering the responsibilities of the sales teams as highlighted by Reena. So for each of the responsibilities which are mentioned in here, you are supposed to come up with a KPI. So let's look at the type of an answer you are supposed to provide. So KPI sales team, that's my main heading, which is in bold and underlined format. So first things first, let's look at the first responsibility. Sales employees are responsible towards signing up new dealers. So what type of a KPI can be utilized to determine the type of or how many new dealers the company has signed up? New dealer acquisition rate is the best KPI for that. So this KPI gives us an indication about the rate of dealer signups. And how are you supposed to calculate it? New dealer signups divided by total dealers contacted into 100. So if we contacted 100 dealers, and out of these, if 20 dealers signed up with our services, then 20 divided by 100 into 100 is 20%. And higher the rate, the better it is for the company. So if the dealer acquisition rate is improving, then it indicates that our sales staff are doing their job when it comes to acquiring new dealers. Then looking at the second area, signing up new dealers, manage relationships with dealers. So what type of a KPI you can come up with? Dealer satisfaction score. So when it comes to, if you are managing our relationships properly with the dealers, then they'll be satisfied with us. So the best way to measure the satisfaction is to look at the dealer satisfaction score. This indicates how sales staff treat dealers and its effect on dealer relationships. So when trying to gauge about the satisfaction score, we need to seek feedback via surveys. So a 1 to 5 rating system can be adhered to. On top of a 1 to 5 rating system, there should be a comments section where each dealer can comment about the type of relationship they enjoy with us. So via these comments, we are in a position to figure out any type of inefficiencies or gain an in-depth understanding about any type of inefficiencies when it comes to treating our dealers. All right, so that's the second area. Then the third responsibility is about managing relationships. That's done. Dealing with online and telephone queries from dealers and farmers. So what's the KPI which covers this area? Average response time for queries. Okay. So if we are responding to the dealers as well as farmers instantaneously, that leads to better customer relations as well as dealer relations. So low response times will satisfy dealers as well as farmers. And how are we supposed to calculate it? We have to consider the total response time and divide it by the number of queries. So in such an environment, we are in a position to figure out on a query by query basis, how much time we take on average. Are we taking 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 25 minutes? That's the average response time. If we can, shorten it as much as possible, then that leads to better relationships with dealers as well as farmers. Then the fourth area, arranging delivery times and stick to these delivery times. So what type of an KPI can you use? The on-time delivery rate. Okay. So the on-time delivery rate indicates the effectiveness of sales staff in arranging and meeting delivery times. So how are we supposed to calculate it? We have to consider the on-time deliveries and divide it by the total deliveries. So out of 100 deliveries which we have conducted, if we had 80 of our deliveries, if we had done it on time, then our on-time delivery rate is 80%, and higher the better. It's better to achieve 100% as much as possible. Then looking at the last area, the sales staff carry the responsibility of setting up and staffing trade stands at agricultural shows. So to figure out whether our staff members are doing an effective job or not, we have to consider the trade show performance. So this indicates the quality of sales engagements. Okay. And under this area, we can utilize multiple headings. The number of leads generated at the trade shows, number of inquiries received at the trade shows, any type of sales which we have pushed via the trade shows will give us an indication about trade show performance. Okay, so if you are generating a higher amount of leads as well as if you are receiving a lot of inquiries, then it indicates that our employees who are running the trade stands within the trade shows are doing their job properly. And if they are doing their job properly, then we can push sales via these trade shows. So trade show sales can be measured as revenue from trade shows divided by the total revenue. So this gives us an indication about the amount of revenues which we have generated via the trade shows, and we are in a position to compare it to the total revenue. All right. So, these are the type of KPIs which you need to mention within your answer. Any questions, guys? So it brings us to the end of the discussion of the mini mock. I hope you guys understood what I was talking about earlier with regards to answer planning technique. So what you need to understand is you need to develop answer plans such as these. If not, So when you develop these answer plans, you know for a fact that you are structurizing your answer. After you are done with developing the answer plan, you can go back to the requirement and see whether you had fulfilled the exact needs of the requirement. And if you feel that you need to do certain adjustments, you can easily do it within the answer plan itself. But on the contrary, right after reading the question, straight away, if you started typing your answer and halfway through you realize that you are headed in the wrong direction, you would have to delete the entire answer, or you would have to read through paragraphs and paragraphs of answers and try to figure out which answer point is irrelevant to the requirement. So in order to get rid of all these inefficiencies, what you're supposed to do is stick to a system such as this. And as I told you earlier, how are you supposed to utilize your 45 minutes on a task by task basis? To read the question, you have to allocate 5 minutes. And to develop an answer plan per task, you need to allocate 15 minutes. So altogether, to read and develop the answer plan, you are supposed to allocate 20 minutes of your time. I don't mind even if you take 25 minutes, but nothing more than that. Okay. And once you have an answer plan at your disposal, then you need to start typing the answer. And for that, 25 or 20 to 25 minutes should be allocated. So you won't get this right the first time you do it. I've seen students they've gotten when they contact me, what they say is they complain that they cannot stick to the answer planning technique. So what I will recommend you guys to do is keep practicing this answer planning technique, because as I told you earlier, we have developed 5 mock exams, and in each mock exam, there are 4 main tasks. So 4 tasks into 5 mock exams, you would be practicing this answer planning technique 20 times over. And if you do, you are in a position to replicate the same methodology without any problem at your real exam. Okay, but you can't simply, just by knowing this answer planning and time management technique, if you do not practice these techniques, you cannot replicate the same method at your exam. So it's of utmost importance whenever you are attempting your mock exams, you need to adhere to these guidelines. If not, you'd run out of time definitely. And if you run out of time, you'd provide rushed answers or incomplete answers. And in such an environment, there's absolutely no chance that you'd pass your exam. Any questions, guys, before we move forward? Any doubts, any questions? Thank you, Kathy, for your feedback. Any questions? Any other questions, guys? All right, seems like there aren't any questions, so I'm going to move forward. So let me talk about what we offer quickly. So, oops. So yeah, if I talk about what we offer at TCS, yeah, so we offer 3 courses in total, the essential pack, the value pack, and the premium package. So the essential pack consists of the recorded versions of the webinars which we are conducting. And you'd get your hands on the 5 mock exams with suggested answers. Please remember that the 5 mock exams are developed in such a way that all mock exams are 100% relevant to the preceding. And on top of that, all these mock exams are developed in such a way that the entire syllabus pertaining to P1, F1, and E1 related areas are covered. So if you attempt our 5 mock exams, you need not go through your study texts, past notes and whatnot, because all syllabus content are covered via our 5 mock exams. And on top of that, if you purchase the essential pack, you would get your hands on the 4 pre-scene analysis videos. And after you watch these 4 videos, you'd have an in-depth understanding about what is mentioned within the pre-scene document. And this is priced at £99. So if you are a student who is coming through the CIMA general route, and if you had gotten extremely good marks at your OTQ exams, if you had gotten marks more than 110 marks or above, then you are in a position to attempt the mock exams on your own. And if you are extremely comfortable with 100% self-learning, then simply opt for the essential pack. Then looking at the value pack, it comes with what comes under the essential pack. On top of that, you'd get your hands on the annotated pre-scene. So I showed you the annotated pre-scene earlier as well. So this is what our annotated pre-scene looks like. So what we have done here is we have taken out all the important information so that by going through these annotations, you are in a position to understand all the nitty-gritties pertaining to your pre-scene. So you need not remember all information which is highlighted within the pre-scene. Instead, simply go through the annotations which we have developed. Then you are in a position to understand the most important points. And on top of that, via these annotations, we have conducted our own analysis. We have also highlighted the type of syllabus content which can be tested at your exam, as you can see in here. And on top of that, exam scenarios or predictions are also made as part of these annotations. So if you go through these annotations, you can easily understand or get a grasp of what is mentioned in the pre-scene. Then we also provide a set of industry analysis and financial analysis slides. Okay, so that's exactly what you can see in here. If you go through the industry analysis cards, you are in a position to understand, get an in-depth understanding about the nitty-gritties pertaining to your industry, because as a finance officer, you need to be conversant about what happens within the industry. So as part of these slides, we have provided an overview into the tractor manufacturing industry. We have highlighted the competitive landscape. We have highlighted the industry trends, as well as at the very end, provided real life examples from the industry, which are akin to your company, Tracks Europe. Okay, so by going through these slides, you are in a position to easily get your bearings about what happens within this industry. And we also provide a set of financial analysis slides, and via these financial analysis slides, we have highlighted the financial performance of the company in an extremely summarized version, so that you can easily understand about the financial performance of the company. So the profit and loss statement, the balance sheet, as well as the statement of cash flows, all these information are highlighted within the set of financial analysis slides. And at the very end, a ratio analysis is had also been conducted, and all important ratios have been evaluated. Yet I've kept it concise as much as possible, so that you can easily understand and remember the most important financial information about the company. All right, and you'd get your hands on the top 10 likely issues, the case study familiarization kit. You'd have access to a tutor managed live chat, as well as theory recaps of OTQ syllabus content. So if you go through these theory recaps, you can easily brush up your knowledge or conduct revision pertaining to E1, P1, and F1 related syllabus areas. So if you are a student who is not too conversant with conducting 100% or engaging in 100% self-learning, and if you are coming through the CIMA general route, however, if you had struggled with OTQ papers, especially P1 and F1 papers, if you had struggled or if you had failed these papers, then you have to go for the value pack, because you need some type of support from the tutors. So this is priced at £199, and the premium package consists of all the material which comes under the value pack. On top of that, you would have access to an online mock exam platform or the learning management system. So what happens is when attempting your 5 mock exams, you can do it within the mock exam platform itself. And we have developed the mock exam platform to be akin to the Pearson VUE system. I said you need to keep practicing the answer planning and time management techniques. The best way to do it is via the exam platform, because you would be utilizing a similar platform at your real exam. So before the exam, 5 times you would be utilizing our exam platform. So you would be accustomed to the timing, the answer planning technique, and you'd get your bearings pertinent to the platform as well. And we are also providing professional marking and one-to-one tutor feedback on 3 mocks, or namely mocks 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so simply, you are supposed to, as I told you earlier, you are supposed to attempt all 5 mocks within the exam platform. And once you are done with attempting each mock for mocks 3, 4, and 5 within 48 minutes, I will be providing you with tutor feedback. So let me show you the type of feedback you'd get. So as you can see, for each and every paragraph, I've provided feedback as notations so that you can clearly see where you stand as a student. So if you go through these points which I've mentioned, you are in a position to understand your shortcomings as well. So for each area, I've mentioned what the shortcomings are. And at the very end, the marks are provided as well. And we provide something called the success rate, which helps you gain an understanding about the type of subtasks you have fared okay. But and on the other hand, if you had gotten lesser than 54%, then these marks will, or the success rates will indicate the type of subtasks which you need to practice again. Okay, so if you look at this student had only gained 62 marks, thereby failing the mock exam. And as you can see, the student had only fared well in subtasks 1A, 2B, and 3A. But in all the other subtasks, the student had not gotten really good marks. Okay, so after the mock is done, you can, whenever you are doing your own revision, you can focus on the answer planning technique, rather than typing the fully fledged answer. Keep practicing developing answer plans, and that's the type of feedback you would get. And at the very end, general comments are provided with the intention of further improving your answer planning technique. Okay, then on top of that, you'd get your hands on answer plans of all mocks. So you saw what an answer plan looks like. So we have developed an answer plan for the mini mock, and for all 5 mock exams we have developed answer plans. So if you go through these answer plans, it's as if you are going through a summary of the suggested answers. So rather than having to go through pages and pages of suggested answers, we have made your life easier. We are providing a set of answer plans. So these are answer summaries. And if you go through these answer summaries, you are in a position to learn theory as well as understand how to structure your answers. And on top of that, you'd get your hands on the master classes. We have already recorded the master classes, so there are 20 master classes in total. And via these master classes, what's happening is, just like I explained the answers of the mini mock, I've explained answers of all 5 mock exams. And when I was explaining the answers, I taught you theory. I hope you can remember, I taught you what relevant costing is. I taught you what participative and imposed type of budgeting is. I taught you what consists within the 5-step process when it comes to training and development. I explained what to look at when recommending KPIs for the company. So likewise, for each and every area, the theoretical element is highlighted within the master via the master classes. And on top of that, I'm highlighting the application skills as well. I've highlighted about what you need to do when it comes to improving your application skills, because Remember, you need to relate to the requirement as much as possible. So that's where your application skills come into the picture. So if you want to learn theory as well as application skills, the best way to do is via these master classes. You need not go through your old notes. You need not refer to the study packs and whatnot. Simply by watching these videos and referring to the answer plans, you are in a position to easily understand theory, learn theory, as well as improve your application skills. And you would be in a position to attend the webinars. We are only conducting 3 webinars free of charge, but if you had gone through the study plan, you would have seen there are some more webinars which we are planning to conduct. And if you go for the premium package, you can attend all these webinars. And you have the option of doing the payment in 3 monthly installments, and this comes with the pass guarantee. So what does this pass guarantee tell you? If you end up investing on the premium package and fail the exam, you'd get access to the material in your subsequent sitting free of charge. But this pass guarantee comes with one single condition. And what is this condition? You have to attempt mocks 3, 4, and 5. So if you attempt mocks 3, 4, and 5, you will receive tutor feedback. So after attempting these 3 mocks, after receiving the tutor feedback, if you still fail, there's no chance of this happening. But after attempting the 3 mocks and receiving tutor feedback, if you still fail, then we will provide you access to the same material free of charge in the subsequent sitting. Okay, so this package is priced at 550 pounds, but you have the option of paying it in 3 monthly installments. So the first installment is going to be 99 pounds, but the 2 remaining installments are going to be 225 pounds each, spread over 3 months. Okay, and if you are a student who is coming through the FLP or the exemption route, then you have to go for the premium package, because you do not know your theory pertaining to P1 and F1. Just because you get your exemptions from your OTQs, you cannot pass the exam if you do not know your P1 and F1 especially. Okay, so you need to learn theory, you need to improve your application skills. That's why the master classes are there. Okay, why the master classes? You can learn theory as well as improve your application skills. And on top of that, you need to see whether your answers make sense, whether your answers are in par with the requirements of the examiner. So that's where the tutor feedback comes in. And you need to get accustomed to the answer planning and time management technique. That's where access to the exam platform comes in handy. Okay, so if you're coming through the exemption route, even if you're coming through the CIMA general route, if you had failed your exams previously, or OCS exam, if you had failed it previously, you have to go for the premium package, because without tutor support, one-to-one tutor support, without feedback, without the answer plans, without the master classes, you are not in a position to pass the exam. Okay, so that's that. And I want you guys to check out the study plan, and as per the study, you can find the same within the website itself. So as per the study plan, we are in week number 2. You are supposed to attend webinar number 2, answering technique. You have done that. You are supposed to watch the 4 pre-scene analysis videos, refer to the annotated pre-scene, and refer to industry and financial analysis slides. So things are not getting serious as yet. Things will get serious once you start attempting the mocks, but within this week, you are only supposed to watch the 4 videos and refer to certain study material. So if you are yet to invest on your on study material, it's high time you do it, because you only have 6 weeks until your exam. If you start right now, that's ample time, because as per our study plan, it's just a matter of, if I summarize everything, it's just a matter of, on a weekly basis, sitting in one place and attempting a mock per week via the exam platform. Everything else is handled by us. So we have made it extremely easy for you. You need not go through your old study packs. You need not try to analyze the pre-scene. You need not conduct a financial analysis and industry analysis. You need not learn theory. You need not improve your application skills. All these things are taught to you guys, just like I taught you answer planning and time management techniques. For all 5 mocks, I've done it, done the master classes. So it's your only responsibility is to sit in one place and attempt all 5 mocks via the exam platform. And if you do, you can easily pass the exam. Okay, so that's exactly why we have achieved these things. So CIMA publicized their rankings for the year 2022, and we are happy to say that we have gotten 4 national ranks, and we have gotten out of the top 10 guys, leaving out the first, second, and third places. From the 4th place up until the 10th place, we have gotten 4 more ranks as well. So altogether, we have received 8 national ranks last time. So in the February 2022 session, one of our students got the 2nd rank. In May 2022, we had the 2nd and the 3rd national ranks. And in August 2022, we had the 2nd rank again. And as you can see, this student got 109 marks, thereby getting the all India 2nd rank for OCS. So I showed another student's feedback in the first webinar as well. So, these guys, how did they achieve these things? They simply stuck to the study plan which we provided. And, as I told you earlier, it's just a matter of attempting a mock per week. Everything else is handled by us. So that's the pass guarantee which we give under the premium package. So if these guys can get national ranks, you passing the exam. If you stick to the study plan, you can easily pass the exam. And if you do your job really well, if you do your revision on time, if you do your job really well, if you stick to the study plan, you might be able to achieve a national rank yourself as well. We are there to support you. Okay, and we are offering a 50% discount on the first installment of the premium package. So as I told you earlier, the first installment is £99, but you can, gain access to all the material at £49, thereby saving £50. However, remember that this discount is only available until the 1st of July. So if you're planning on investing on the premium package, do it now itself so that you benefit from this discount. And the discount code is OCS P50. And I've shared the discount codes via the WhatsApp group as well. I'll reshare these discount codes on a week by week basis. Any questions, guys? So it's been quite a long session tonight because I had to go through the answer plans. I got the value pack. Is it possible to upgrade to the premium package? Yes, definitely. So Metsi, what I would ask you to do is, hope you can drop me a message via WhatsApp. Or yeah, so let me show you the numbers. So this is the number. Drop me a message via this number, or you can email us via info@study@tcs.com as well. And I'll, inform admin and get this thing done. Okay. Any questions, guys? You are welcome, Etsy. Any questions? So seems like there aren't any questions. So yeah, I invite you guys to follow us on our social media handles. And where can I access the OTQ notes? Also on the website. Yeah, so Metsi, since you have purchased the premium package, you have access to these revision cards. It comes under the study material tab. I was on the website earlier, yeah. So yeah, so go to my courses, then go to OCS value pack. I have all the packages because I'm one of the admins of the website, but in your page, you'd only see OCS value pack. And if you had, opted for the OCS free, you would see these two tabs. So OCS value pack, go to that and click access content. Why isn't this working? Okay, then go to, you can see these different tabs on top. Go to study material, and under that you get the revision cards for F1, P1 and E1. Okay, I hope I addressed your concern. You're welcome, Etsy. So yeah, and before I forget, I hope you guys went through the TikTok videos. I said in the last webinar, I said that I will be sharing 3 TikTok videos with you guys, which is a good summary of the entire pre-scene. And as I promised, I shared these TikTok videos with you. So I want you guys to go through these TikTok videos on a daily basis so that you constantly keep reminding yourself about the most important points which appears within the pre-scene. And at the exam, you need not do anything once you keep on watching these videos on a daily basis. Okay, so please be mindful to go follow us on TikTok and watch these 3 videos constantly. Having said that, it brings us to the end of the second webinar. So thank you very much, guys, for joining in. Even if you do not invest on our packages, still keep practicing these answer planning and time management techniques. Even if you purchase, products or services offered by another service provider, whenever you are attempting mock exams, please stick to the answer planning and time management technique. Without practicing it, you cannot champion it. Without practicing it, you won't be in a position to replicate the same methodology at the exam. But if you practice, as you saw, our students have gotten national ranks. Why? Because they have adhered to the plans, the answer planning and time management technique, which we highlighted. And on top of that, all these students, what they told me was they never ran out of time when attempting their real exam. Why is that the case? Number one, they have stuck to the answer planning technique. Number two, they have stuck to the time management technique. And they have practiced these answer planning and time management techniques when attempting all 5 mocks. And number 4 is our mocks cover the entire syllabus. So in such an environment, that's what you need to get right when preparing for your exam in August. So I hope you'd start your preparations right now if you're yet to start it, because you only have 6 weeks. And I'll see you guys in 2 weeks time, where I'll take you through the examiner's comments and I'll highlight tips about the type of deflections you need to avoid and what you need to do to improve your confidence. So having said that, it brings us to the end of the session. Thank you very much, guys, for joining in. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Good night and take care.